What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. I just can't help myself sometimes, but if it's your first bad ban list buy, don't worry, I've made plenty of them. Years of holding on copium, this will come off the list. And also, in today's speculatory market, sometimes ban cards will re-spike while still not entering the list. Yes, I do think Masterpiece can come off the list anytime, and True Draco did get a little help, but if you really bought a bunch of these because a tournament banner had this on with a New Year logo, that's on you after the past examples through history of that being available on the same platform. Now, there are tons of changes. The ban list has completely wrecked the market. Some places obvious, some not so much. So let's start with some of the less obvious, although the first one you might have already guessed. We have Destiny, Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix, Enforcer. Verte got slammed on the list, and this card is tanking oh so fast to around $60 already, and I do not think this is the bottom for this card. People don't want to play 2 Fusion Destinies and 2 bricks to be accessing this card. Dragoon has not fallen out as much. It's around $80 right now, but this is hard tanking, and Hero Lives did peel to 3. You do have more hero reprints potentially around the future with, well, you're going to. It says a double dose of Jaden on Legendary Duelist Season 3. It'll be interesting to see where this one actually ends up landing, though. We also have the Adventure Token Engine, one of the forefronts of competitive play that got absolutely no hits, except you did lose Aurora Dawn for certain versions of this deck, but without the engine itself getting hit and not losing pieces, people went for entire play sets now, and Rite of Armis here. Somebody on livestream told me they bought this at 37, and we did see 3 sold right around then. There were multiples under 40 then. It is lowest now around $60 with a market price of 58 once again, and Water Enchantress, who was also down there, is now back almost to $50. Looking through the Despia stuff, that is clear range, it's good to play. National season, YCS season, Quertus is around $22, but he was already starting to trek up to that price. You have Branded Opening, it was down to $22.23, rebounding all the way back up to $30 for a modern super where you have a super in every pack. Kind of a bit wild, isn't it? Then you have Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon, Tax Dragon, let's call it what it is, 600 life points per card. It is also bouncing up back a bit after falling out from buyout mode, back to $35. I will suggest though, Aluber Secret Rares are at one of the lowest prices it's been at. So using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. If you want a max rarity, a little Despia engine, 3 of these now cost what one of these used to cost. Actually, some people spend all the way up to $140, so you'd be saving some money. But you do have the Ultras accessible around $16 right now. Baroness is surprisingly spiking despite Dawn getting banned. What's up with that? Well, Sword Soul is getting bought out a lot. It's still competitive within this metagame. You can see Mo Yi was almost down to 20. Now the lowest availables are starting to get near $35 very quickly, up to 40 on the front page. And Incredible Ecclesia, the Starlight, now all the deal ones have gone, and she's around $350. But when we go to the regular version, it is spiking up to almost $70 plus. Actually, it's there already. We do have this copy before it's there. Wow, and it goes up to 80 on that page. These are going fast right now. So they were already going. People from Master Duel found one of their first good decks that's even better in the TCG than it plays on Master Duel yet. Token collectors and a lot of side decks. Be aware of that for this and the Adventure Token Engine. Still a pretty good deck. Kind of crazy to see Baroness going up along with it to this extent, though hitting 120 again for a pack that just isn't worth pretty much anything. Like, this is a bottom out of a Legendary Duelist that we've ever seen, even lower than Sisters of the Rose. Like, this is wild to see a card worth this much and a sealed worth this little. I don't think that's ever happened like in Yu-Gi-Oh history for Duelist packs. Just incredibly wild to me. Now, Dimension Force has buyouts during pre-sale mode, and Regulus is at $80. What in the hecking heck? Earth Machine best deck? I don't think so. I do think Regulus is a very good card, and people see BANLIST and they get very hyped, so they grab towards what they were gonna get, not maybe knowing how to navigate a pre-sale market. And I am a little disappointed to see it at $60 on Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily. It is cheaper. You can use code WhatsGood5 for 5% off and to support the channel directly. But going along with the market instead of pricing kind of how they usually do feels a bit odd to me. Now, what I do like over here, though, is Therion Lily Borea is around $15, which is cheaper than anywhere, and the code makes it even cheaper supporting the channel. But I also like Psychic and Punisher, but I think this will be undervalued for a while. It's a very, very good card, though. Maybe it's one of those ones that doesn't pan out and my player brain is wrong, but the Lily Borea is down to 18-ish on TCG, so it could go out further, but it's caused so many buyouts, it could start to go along with Regulus, because you can play Therion on the deck or Therion as engines, and I do think the plant engine isn't really underestimated at this point from how many buyouts have been around it. But this piece being ignored while this spikes, I do like the Boreas as it stands. But yeah, I think Regulus will fall back down to at least 50, probably. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Is this a case of Dimension Force having missed so much value early and other things bottoming out that something had to be value? Or will this be like Dark Neostorm as a good example, or Yana Majesty as a bad example, in terms of this going down in price again to where nothing's really worth the booster box? Let me know where you think Dimension Force is going to end up landing. Now towards more of the obvious Secret Rare Change of Heart, First Ed MRD Change of Heart, Dark Beginnings Change of Heart, all spiking way hard in price. People going for their pieces of Yu-Gi-Oh! History coming back and getting hyped around it. How impactful will Change of Heart to be? We'll have to wait and see. It's definitely going to be a decent card for helping go through a board and take care of things after negates have been forced, but we're in a more responsive Yu-Gi-Oh! Format as it stands right now, so I do wonder how that would integrate to the metagame. Tenki is one I actually suggested on stream. I was like, once it falls under 120, it's a pretty good price. It's been under 120 for some time, and yep, buyout. It is around 150 lowest now during BANLIST Day, with the sales being around 118. Let's see if anything's changed versus that timing. More mild plays and stuff selling now. Ulti Trishula, out of all the Trishulas for hand looping, is getting targeted. DT, you do have the comparable foiling of the Hidden Arsenal pack, I suppose. You have the Starlight out of the core sets, but it's gotten very few sales today. Only 2 total. So Ulti seems to be the preference now as the top standing one to run and grab, with plenty of sales through the day, but still not the most impressive number in the world, just the most notable movement. I'm not seeing enough movement on Trish. I would rather not face Synchro Spam hand loop again, thank you. Ultimate Pot of Desires, now that you can play 2 of them, has definitely been moving very fast today. Look at that. You can just see people are now spending near $100 on this ulti. You also do have the Collector Rare competing with that, and tons of sales on the Collector Rare too. And it looks like a lot of people went in the 15th. Maybe somebody heard a little something early. Ooh, that's interesting. Or they just had a gut check call on it. But we do see the Collector Rares moving, and suspiciously, a couple days before. Insider information, time traveling info brokers. Who knows? Yada Garasu is also way up in price. I have a BGS version of this, but the first editions are like 200 plus for near mint. They've been up there though, and you can see the lowest is like 217 loose. Just absolutely wild, this beast of a card, and it's had a market price near there, but the sales today are actually within that price range too, and a ton of them, both Unlim and first edition going. People basically celebrating the longest lived member of the ban list finally being free. Performapal Monkey Board Pendulum Best Deck. It was already getting bought out before the list, all the way up to 5, 6, and you also had past formats we talked about, but Pepe not that popular. Now it's around $11 with tons of listers. Also around that, a lot of the Pendulum Magicians are disappearing in quantities and going up slowly in price, so you might want to get yours sooner than later if you are interested in just having the deck deck, either for past format or just because, or playing it in current. And Lizard Draw commonly goes with Monkey and Guitardle. Guitardle not really moving too much in price, but Lizard Draw is notably going up somewhat quickly. Oddis Phantasma Dragon was brought to me in the Discord, and this actually moved way before we ever had the list. Oddis being a theme of Defo. I feel like the main reason for this card is that it only has one printing and it's a magazine promo, and people actually consider playing this one. That would be the reason for the price. It's not because of the ban list or anything crazy. Jet Synchron Supers. There are commons that are still very affordable, but the supers are now almost worth the structure deck, around $10. So they're 8-ish. And I find this really funny, and it puts a smile on my face that this man's is back. He's been around Master Duel, not causing too many problems. And with Dawn gone on top of it, very nice to see Jet Synchron return. And you can play your Dawn of Majesty stuff to your heart's content now and actually combo a bit more. But Jeff Jones brought up that with going into Hulk, into Jet, being able to make TG during the opponent's turn, along with a good old Dagda, we're going to be Scythe locking in this format. So you might want to look at TG Wonder Magician sooner than later, and she is very down on quantities for certain versions, but there's a very cheap ultra rare out of Relentless Revenge, so you can get a holo version on the cheap no matter what. Selene is one of the only speculatory cards I'm going to bring up here, though, that hasn't started moving. With Hulk combos going different directions, Selene often pairs with Hulk. She only has one printing out of Dual Overload, and there's not a reprint set currently on the horizon where she's going to end up in. She's around $28 to $30, and we've seen this spike towards this and past this multiple times. Tons lined up here around the $33 mark. If you are going for Hulk engine stuff, I think you should probably have access to this, but do test your combo lines first. Time Seal only has 2 printings, pretty expensive common for near mint. Shiranui Solitaire actually was gone before the ban list, just a lot of zombie general good stuff. Super low quantities on a ton of versions of this. Kind of funny to see the, we have high to low, but the commons in the lead from the structure deck. And then I was looking around Salad and I saw all Mirage Secret Rares are going way up, super low on quantity, so that's kind of neat. But I do think this could be very similar to Gladiator Beast, where the Secret Rare versions super long-term do well, even though it's not from a Legendary Collection and it's from a Megaton. This is the deck that just keeps coming back. Somebody recently played like a version of this and top, so Salad getting a lot more help on the list. I could see a lot of people going for it, and it's low quantities for certain cards out of the Megatons. While it's super cheap, I would think about just having access to this deck if you're interested at all, especially in the hollowed out versions. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. I kept it timely and went very fast, but hopefully that filled you in for today. I will be doing more, of course, tomorrow with what's moving, what's happening, always with the ban list. So many things get slammed, it's impossible to get it in one video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And yeah, the pre-sales for Devo, we'll have to watch this, the whole fallout throughout the weekend and what hype could happen from tops. If we do see Earth Machine get representation in Top Cut, that definitely could catapult it to the next level at the YCS, so we'll have to watch and see that as well. That could be the X factor for Regulus actually staying up in price.